Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
Hey, what's going on, travelers? It is Ricky Ventures and Marlon Madden, and we're back with you for another week of the Success Journey Show. Marlon, what's good, bro? How you doing, man?
Man, I feel like I'm in a time machine, Rick.
Yeah.
Because you dag on. I saw you on. Ricky came out to my son's basketball game on Sunday, and with the hair cut off, and I almost walked past him. Thank God he had on a Dream Drive Discipline T-shirt that I knew was him. I was like, who's this young boy walking around in here, man? Is he about to go play?
Yeah,
with the under 16?
You know, man, I gotta say, the Lord blessed me with some great genes, and you cut the hair off and looked a totally different person, man. I was just like, oh wow, man, I reclaimed the years, that COVID took, I just wish the body felt the same way, man.
Hey, it's gonna get there. It's gonna get there,
dude. It's so. Oh man, sometimes you just get I get so much in my head on it because I started doing the walking every morning, and my feet are killing me. I'm like, yo, I'm not even doing no weightlifting or exercising yet.
I bet you're walking in basketball shoes.
No. I got running shoes, but I need some new ones. They're kind of worn out.
Yeah, you interchange them every day.
Yeah.
Because when you walk with them, they sink down, and it takes like 24 hours for the cushion
to come back. Yeah, I need to get some new. I'm going to invest in some good ones. Probably 2 pair of good ones. Get rid of the ones I have now, and get.
Oh, you're splurging. 2 pairs of good ones.
That's what Marshall's rack, man. Marshall's a rock.
And if Marshall don't do it, you can surely check out Ross.
Even if you got to wear a bigger size,
It's only walking.
Yo, why did you wear the size 15 shoe? Marshall, they always got the size 15.
Yeah.
Up there because nobody buys them. But yeah, dude, man, getting it back, man, feet cramps and pains in my feet, man, you never even thought you had. So, but I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there. Start with the haircut. Haircut and no glasses. Haircut and no glasses. Yeah. Get into it, man. But what's been up with you, man, this week?
Oh man, so as a lot. So I'm still at the. Well, I won't give. I'm still my new job. I started a new job here, in the DMV area, and now I'm working with the assistant for Office of the Secretary of Defense in their legislative section. So
man, big time. Yeah, we can't talk anymore during the day.
Yeah.
It's big time. He's around big time people, man.
Yeah, so my fear.
Give me about 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, my fear has become a reality in terms of I have avoided being in rooms, working in areas that I can't have my cell phone all day. Mm-hmm. Because we have companies outside of the Marine Corps that you have to answer calls, and throughout the day I'm answering calls, directing fire wherever I need, and I don't have my cell phone readily accessible, Yeah. So it's kind of scary, not because I want to go through the timelines and thread and all this stuff, but because I have some important business to attend to. So yeah, but learning a lot, seeing a lot behind the scenes of the country, and answering some big questions and some stuff that I'm seeing that people are talking about. I'm like, wow, okay, all right, all right. So it's a eye opener, and it's a learning experience. I'll be doing that 6 months before I go on the Hill. I don't know what senator I'll be working for as their legislative person, a fellow legislative fellow. So, but I'll gain this experience here and see where it takes me.
Yeah, man. Marlon's getting dapper again too, man.
Oh yeah,
getting the suit game back up.
Suit game is on. What turn up? What was on? Lit. Flick is done. So it's turn up. It's lit. Drip. My drip is lit.
Yeah, drip.
My drip is lit. You know what I'm saying? A drip is lit. Yeah, I've already got best dressed in the office.
Oh man,
yeah,
man!
This week I'm crushing them with the blazers. Last week was everybody wear just a straight suit, one color, and you know, I've thrown it in the different accessories of what made the suit look good.
Yeah.
But then this week I went out and bought like 3 different blazers, and people all at Macy's. And I know when you hear Macy's, you think a lot, but I'm gonna tell you how we worked it out that I only paid under $400 for 3 blazers and 3 pair of pants.
Yeah, we're not promoting Macy's.
We're not promoting Macy's, but I'm telling you, look for them deals. And when I wore one today, and they're just like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, you know, I does this.
Yeah, man. It's Easter Sunday every week, every day.
Every day. I'm about to go to Zoot Suit one of these days.
Yeah. There you go. With the hat. Yeah.
And the kerchief that come all the way up my neck.
Yeah. But like Marlon, we think you're going a little bit too far now, man. and the cane, and you gotta get the cane too, man.
I'm talking all high. Yeah, man.
Oh man, I love it. Yeah, man. We having fun here on the Success Journey Show, man. Life is good. I say life is good, but you make life good, right? The choices that I mean, I got some big news to share. I can't share it right yet. I got to wait a couple more weeks, and got some more big news on my front. But hoping in a couple of weeks it all manifests itself. But yeah, guys, it's just some great things going. You know, just thanking God for life, health, and strength, and from being able to share this show with you guys. You know, we know some people tune in every week. We have some people tune in every other week. Some people are new listeners. Some people are old listeners. You know, but we appreciate you all. And so, just want to really take the time to say, hey, we still have T-shirts, we still have bags, we still have all these things, and if you want it, go online and purchase it for us, you know. And we also had that. What happened?
It goes to the.
Oh yeah, so man, see, we do a bad job.
It's coming soon. Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, soon we get ready. And I think we talked about it a few weeks ago, but we finally got. If you go on our website, there are some new additions on there. And it's our scholarship, our SJS scholarship, Success Journey Scholarship, SJS.
Yeah.
I just realized the whole that
everything that we SJS works out.
Yeah, SJS, Success Journey Scholarship, where we award to high school students that are going to 2-year colleges, community colleges. We partner with one college in particular, Harvard Community College, but there are some other colleges that we're going to be also partnering up with in the future. So we're starting here, local where we are, and we're going to spread out throughout to the region, through the state, and hopefully through, you know, just the whole United States, man, from coast to coast, being able to offer scholarships to kids to go to community colleges that can't financially afford it, but also more so that they're focusing in the fields of STEM. Something that's dear to us, Marlon, in the finance, mathematics area, myself in the science, life science, the technology, the engineering, and math teacher. I've done all of them, man. I've done all of them, man. I've done them all, dude.
I gotta put some other letters on, so I could be like.
I've done them all, dude.
Only.
Oh man, I didn't even realize that until like a few months ago. I was like, yo, I've touched every letter in STEM, man. And then, so yeah,
science. I have some kids.
Yeah, there you go. You have kids. Yeah, done science. Yeah, you done experiments. I've done experiments. Man. So yeah, guys, man, it'll be something else that you can help. You're not just supporting us, but you know the proceeds from the shirts go on our part go to help these scholarships. But then also there is a place for you to donate specifically to the scholarship itself. So guys, man, we're really excited to just be here another week with you. And like always, we have a phenomenal guest. So stay tuned real quick. Jay, run that quick commercial and we'll be right back with you. All right.
Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
All right. right, travelers. We are here at our favorite segment of the show, the segment of the show where we bring on a guest. Can you hear me okay, Marlon?
Yep.
All right, good. Making sure nothing adjusted there. But I thought I saw you do something when you
Yeah.
You're giving me signals, man. I was like, wait a minute.
From days when we used to be on the stage, we would
Give me the baseball signals.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute, I don't want a bunting right now. But anyway, our favorite segment of the show, we have none other than Galen here joining us. Galen, thank you so much for being a guest on our show. Why don't you start off by just sharing with our guests and listeners and travelers all around the world just a little bit about yourself?
Well, thanks for having me, gents. So I am a property casualty attorney, which means that I represent policyholders, homeowners, business owners that have been having trouble with their insurance companies and getting those claims paid. I'm not a personal injury lawyer. I'm not a family lawyer. All I do is help people that have insurance problems with their like physical property. But the road to get there was like a little difficult and a little alternative. So I'm based out of New Orleans. We have offices all over the country, have several hundred employees now. But I did not come from kind of any of that, right? So my mom's a German immigrant, did not like English was not her first or even her second language, right? No one graduated high school from my family. So, you know, we grew up very, very poor. So kind of had to find that way through. But, you know, it's been really cool because a lot of that has made me stronger. So I got some really cool opportunities as a result. I went off to music school because it's all I could really do.
Cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Went to Boston, went to London, like literally sang in order to get a college education. And then
so you know about the ear and turn up music.
All about that. I can't hear you, right?
Turn the monitors up.
I thought he was saying the same thing when he did it too. Everyone's like checking their computer to make sure they can hear it. But no, you know, and that was cool. Like it was a vehicle to kind of get an education, right? But it wasn't ultimately like my passion or my flow state. And then Hurricane Katrina hit. And I'm like this college kid up in Boston. And I just like had to be there. I could not. I just felt like called to be there. So I came. I wish I could say like I made this massive impact. I like gutted houses and like slept in a tent. You know, I wasn't exactly at like the height of like fixing the city after Katrina. I didn't know how to do anything, but I did fall in love with helping people that were having problems after a big disaster. Ended up going to law school, ended up chasing some defense work for a couple of years, you know, kind of had to pay some of those loans back and, you know, then got back right into doing what I love, which is helping people. So, you know, I had a prior law firm that I was part of. We officially opened our doors on August 1st, 2020 with 7 people. And today, as I said, we're a few hundred folks and, you know, representing policyholders all over the country and just helping them do what we love, which is recover after a loss.
What a story.
Yeah.
Man. I'm just here. When a lot of people like to say people are lucky, right? And I'm sure you got that sometimes in your life, because when you're successful, people always say, oh man, Galen, you're lucky, right? And we know you told us about your background and everything, but I like to say, yeah, I'm lucky, but in the sense that when opportunity meets preparation, I was lucky enough to have those two, or I had those two and gain what you call luck, right? But you had to be prepared and you had to see the opportunity. And I like the fact that, and I'm jumping way ahead of where we usually started the background. So people talk about but I just love the fact that you went down when they had Hurricane Katrina. Saw that was one of the biggest things I never understood, which I'd love for you to expound on, is how the insurance company said, hey, act of God, we're not paying you guys out for your houses. And then people were out of houses. So that birth, you understand what I'm saying? And still, you just didn't go and open a insurance company. You had to go to law school as a result. And from law school, you said the key thing, I had to pay back loans. So I wasn't in a position to open my own company. So I did that, and your dream of helping people, you went all the way around, not all the way around, but you had to go on your journey in order to get to your ultimate destination or start of another journey, because I don't think we ever fully reached the destination. I'm loving that. And before, I know we're going to jump back a little bit into your story and everything, but I just wanted you to expound on that act of God that they were using to not give people back their money for insurance.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So I didn't understand this at all until I got down there and kind of watched how it worked. In my mind, you have insurance. Insurance covers exactly those types of things. So when something happens, your insurance company pays you. And America's so interesting in this sense. If you and I do a business deal together, right? Like if Marlon and I are going to cut a deal, I'm not going to tell Marlon how much I owe him. He's going to tell me how much I owe him, right? He doesn't trust me to tell him what I need to pay him. He tells me what I need to pay him, right? But the way we do insurance in the United States is the insurance company tells us how much they should pay us. We don't tell them. It's kind of weird, right?
Correct.
But we're like conditioned for that because of all the advertisements, all the commercials, right? So they come down after Katrina, and obviously this is a big risk for any insurance company. They know, it's happening all over the country right now. If insurance companies do not purchase enough reinsurance, which is insurance they get to cover themselves, and there's a big unprecedented event, they can go under. It can happen. It's dollars and cents, right? So I think any insurance company kind of goes into survival mode, and they kind of govern themselves that way, right? Like, at the end of the day, paying claims is like a zero-sum game. I either give you $1 or I don't give you $1, and then I keep the dollar. There's no middle ground where I can give you the dollar and still have the dollar, right? So they don't want to pay claims that they can avoid paying. Do I think they're like inherently evil people? No, I think they're corporations that have shareholders and officers and need to make money too. Right. Yeah. Everyone has to eat at the end of the day. So like what happened in Katrina was so interesting, and it was kind of genius. And I won't call out the company that came up with it, but it's a big insurance company, you all know. And the main, like the CEO is literally staring at these losses and realizing once they get their adjusters on the ground, they start evaluating it, their balance sheet is going to look terrible, maybe worse than it's ever looked if they start paying these claims. And he's looking at the footage of Katrina, and he's seeing a few things. He's seeing roofs blown off, which means that wind took the roof off.
Yeah.
But he's seeing standing water everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the federal government, what any homeowner knows, but most people don't know if you don't have insurance, is the federal government manages flood insurance, but homeowners insurance is all private. So when you go get your flood insurance, even if you get it from one of the big companies, it's underwritten by the National Flood Insurance Program. And there's certain rules and certain ways it works. And more importantly, the federal government pays for it, right? If you go get homeowners insurance, like from any company, you just pick one, they pay you when you have a claim. So this big carrier was like, oh, here's what we're going to do. We're going to blame all the damage on the water that came from the ground instead of the water that came from the sky. Right.
Oh, wow.
And that's really where this whole, we call it flood versus wind down here. That's where the flood versus wind argument was born. And that alone was $1 billion argument that some guy just came up with, doing his job. And we saw claims kind of getting tighter, and we saw denials, and we saw delays, and we saw underpayments just across our history forever. But I think that marks one of the first mass denial events using a purely legal argument. Like there are carriers that have done some sketchy things like before Katrina, right?
Yeah.
One carrier had something known as the Jewish lawyers list, where anytime lawyers with Jewish sounding last names showed up, they would deny the claims, you know.
Oh, wow.
There was another carrier that was caught red-handed denying claims from Haitians, things like that. So there's been bad things, but Katrina is the first time kind of in modern history where there was just a mass, like, okay, we are going to play a game and make arguments that maybe aren't appropriate. And that's where the whole engineers getting involved in insurance claims was invented. So they hired all these engineers down in New Orleans and had them say, and you know, engineers don't learn this crap when they go to school, pardon my language, but they don't. They don't teach them, hey, I want you to figure out whether this wall was damaged by flood or wind. And
all that stuff.
But they hired all these engineers to say, I want you to write reports that tell us whether the damage is flood or wind. They didn't tell them what to say, but they made sure they knew that they wanted it to be flood, you know?
Yep. So they steered them. Yep.
It looks like it's flood. It looks like it's flood, but, you know, let's run a report anyway, just to confirm it.
And that's really how it was all born. And, you know, that led to class action suits, all these individual lawsuits. I mean, litigation for Katrina, I'm not sure the final case has gone away yet, but, you know, even 5 years ago, there was still a bunch of litigation going on over Katrina. And that was like a fundamental seismic shift in the industry. So it was so interesting to be down here, not knowing anything about any of this and watching it happen right in front of me.
Man, you know, it's crazy that in the timing of you coming on this podcast, because by the time our listeners hear this, it'll be around the anniversary of Katrina. Which is crazy. I mean, officially it would be, was it 18 years or 17 years or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, just the timing of you coming on, just sharing this, how that time frame birthed something new in your trajectory, in your life. I would love to go back just a tad bit to more deeper on your side, and then we'll kind of pair it all up together as we go through the show. When you were in Boston University, I believe, you know, studying music, things of that nature. What were your aspirations in life? You know, I'm sorry if you already said this again, but just to recap over that, like what were you aspiring to do with music, and, you know, what was your next step before kind of venturing down to Katrina and figuring out what your real passion was?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I'm not sure what, you know, I hadn't found my passion. I liked what I was doing. I was singing. I was focusing kind of on opera. It was all classical. I liked what I was doing. I enjoyed it. It didn't get me up in the mornings, though. It wasn't the reason I got up, because I had to get up, not because I was looking forward to what I was doing. You know, for me, it was a vehicle. I didn't know where I was going next, but I had to get in the car, right? And I'm from a small town in Texas. The only way out was going to be to go to school, and it was going to be to go to school elsewhere. There was no money to go to school, right? And, you know, I did a lot of like extracurriculars and stuff. I was on sports teams, did music, obviously, did stuff like that. What I did not do is go get a 4.0 in school, right? So like, so Harvard wasn't exactly like, yo, come over for free, like we'll take care of you. Yeah. And no school was like, come over for free, we'll take care of you, except for music schools, because I had that capability that I had worked on growing. And I think I realized like sophomore year of high school, like this is the way that I go to school. This is the way I afford school. This is my ticket out. You know, this is the mechanism that I do that. So that was the plan. But then once you get there, it's like, what do you do? Right. And I learned a lot. I learned really cool things. I learned music history. I learned how our music system works. There's also something really powerful about music students generally, because people don't realize this, but they sit in a room, depending on their instrument, for anywhere between 1 and like 10 hours a day alone. Alone, just practicing, right? It's exactly akin to the athlete that goes to the gym alone for hours. You know, you watch any of the greats, right? Watch any of the best wide receivers, the best running backs. They're just doing drills all day alone with no one to perfect what they do. People don't realize that classical musicians do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot, like how to be alone with yourself, how to criticize yourself in a positive way, how to identify problems and work on them without any help. But no, I mean, look, had Katrina not happened, I came down. I didn't come down. I probably would have found a job somewhere. Yeah. I would have, I'm hopeful that I would have had another opportunity, another calling. But at the time, I think I was doing part-time work at the Four Seasons, working overnight room service, and I probably would have kept rolling with that until I found something I wanted to do.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's crazy, man, how life events or, events in time change the trajectory of individuals based off of just timing and positioning. So you going down and seeing it, this changed your life forever. And you went back and you said, hey, I'm going to go into law school. Now, I'm vaguely sketchy on this aspect, this detail, but being a music major and then saying, hey, I'm going to go to law school, that's a pretty steep bridge in order to, you got to cross.
Yeah. So like, I maintain still to this day that it was a great idea and that I did the right thing.
Yeah.
But there was a moment. So I signed up. So I said I was going to go to law school. Mm-hmm. All my music friends like looked at me and they're like,
yeah, exactly.
And of course I'm down there. So they already think I'm crazy for just going down there. Right. And they're like, you are not going to law school because you are the stupidest person I know. And you are not going to be okay in law school. And I was like, no, I got this. Yeah. I was like, look, you got to do one of two things. You either surround yourself by really, really great friends or you surround yourself by a ton of critics. And I guess I chose the last one. But no, like I had support. I think people cared. I think they loved me. I think they loved me enough to know that I wasn't going to do well in law school. But that fed me. Right. So
yeah.
So I almost quit like week one. You go buy your textbooks. I'm telling you, man, like $1,000 in textbooks, right? Like I couldn't even lift all my textbooks. And
yeah, to go to wheelbarrow.
Oh man, I was like, cool. You buy all 3 years at first. Now that's one semester, Like for me, a heavy reading assignment was like 10 pages, 15 pages, 100 pages a night per class, right? Like I mean, the first week I seriously was like, okay, this was a mistake. I can go get a refund. And I met this guy. His name was John Gennard, and I still stay in touch with him, and he practices down here. And he was exactly what you would expect him to look like tall, stocky, broad shoulders, clean cut, military cut, right? I meet him like first week and he introduces himself as Captain John Gennard. And I'm like, what does that mean?
I was just about to say that because it's close to Picard.
Yep. I'm like, what does that mean? And he goes, well, I was a paratrooper for the Army for 10 years. And he had participated in this program with the Army where they basically were paying him to go to law school, paying him while he was there. And then he'd go off and become an officer in JAG.
A JAG officer. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And, so I was like, number one, if this dude could jump out of planes while shooting people and feel confident and go into law school, then I'm going to give it a shot. Right. For him, and he was a scout at one point. So like for him going to law school was like a walk in the park. Like he'd been all over the Middle East, like laying still for 3 or 4 days at a time, like, I mean, literally he told a story like the first week I met him about like having to use the bathroom on himself for 2 days. Right. And I'm like, if you could do that, like I can read 100 pages per class. Right? And the other thing he said, which was really cool, and it stuck with me forever, is he said, because I'm being paid to be here and because the government trusted me to be here, law school is my mission. And I'm going to execute my mission. And man, wouldn't you know, he finished number one in our class 3 years later. Right.
Wow.
But to meet him, you didn't think he was particularly smart. Turns out he was, right? Turns out he was super smart.
We're going to have to get John Picard on this show because I'm sure he has something to say about it.
Oh, he'll have some things to say for sure. In fact, so it turned out I could do this stuff too. So we started studying together. We put together a little group of guys. we didn't, it's not like the movies. We didn't try to find the smartest guys. We found guys we could be in a room together with for a few hours a day. And we had fun, but man, we were competitive, all of us, right? Like, so you could get an A, but you could also in law school get something called an A star. Only one person gets it. It's like the best exam in the class, right?
Mm.
And he always got these A stars. Man, John always got these A stars. And I got one first semester. I beat him. He comes to me, as soon as grades come out, and he's like, "Hey, I think we should go see Professor so-and-so, just in case there was a mistake." So I don't know what I learned, which was really cool because music school taught me nothing that I needed for law school other than to criticize myself and get better on my own. But what I learned really quickly is competition fed me. So people telling me I can't, other people that I just want to do better than. As soon as I get bored, that's when I die. Right. So for me, law school was all about competition. I wasn't like a jerk running around being like, I'm going to get better grades than you, but just knowing that there were 249 other people in my class that wanted to do better than me kept me going every single night. And I did well. I ended up finishing towards the top of the class, not as good as John. Ended up on law review. He was editor in chief. Like I always had someone kicking my butt. Right. But it's like who you want to have your butt kicked by, right? If you're a running back, you want to get your butt kicked by like some small college running back, or you want to get your butt kicked by Kamara, right? You want to get your butt kicked by Kamara. So, I just surrounded myself by people that were better than me, and I strove to be them every single, and I've done that forever. But that was how I made that transition, was just finding people better and trying to beat them.
Wow.
Man, your story, I love it, man. I hope you're going to write a book. And then co-author, get John to write like 2 words.
He'll probably write, "I'm still better." That'll be his foreword.
Yeah. He'll write his book up in one night before he goes and write yours. Let's just say his is done already.
Basically.
I love it, man. I find people that are better than me, and you push yourself, man. Like that. Just being able to have that awareness of what drives you to go to that next level, because like you said, man, you didn't necessarily have the makings to go into law school. You've seen people in law, then you got to pass the LSATs in order to get accepted into law school. I mean, I've seen the pain that people gone through to even pass that exam, studying and passing that exam, and they wanted to be lawyers from years, right? So it says a lot about you and your character. About
pass the bar.
Yeah, pass the bar, all that stuff. Like it just speaks volumes to who you are, not just who you are in terms of what your accomplishments are, but who you are in terms of the determination, right? Determination is saying, hey, this is what I want. And what you wanted was sparked by such a great need that was out there, right? So now, like you mentioned before in your intro, you knew that you had to transition. You want to do at some point you want to do your own thing, but you knew you had student loans and all this kind of stuff. And how did it feel, going in and practicing in a law firm? When was it where you're like, oh man, I'm gonna go on my own? Talk to us about that transitional period for yourself.
Yeah, so there were kind of 2 for me. You ever see the movie Jerry Maguire? Love it. I love that movie.
I haven't seen it.
You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it, Marlon.
On my list.
So everyone remembers Show Me the Money. That's what they remember. That's the big one. What a lot of people forget is why he actually left. He was at this big sports agency, king of the world, had all the best clients. And I was kind of the same thing. I'd just been at one of the best defense firms in the world. I decided I wanted to focus more on New Orleans. So I went to the best defense firm in New Orleans. I had the best clients. The firm had the best reputation. We had the top pay in the market. And, but man, my job sucked. Right. So what did it for Jerry Maguire is he was doing his job. He was just doing his job. One of his clients was a football player. He'd had his whatever number concussion, way too many. The kid's like, don't you think someone should tell him to stop? It's been too many. And he goes, oh, your dad, your dad's as strong as all the Power Rangers. He's as strong as Iron Man, he's doing his job. And the kid tells him directly, F you, right? And walks away. And that's what leads to this, like, who am I? What have I become, right? So I was handling this case where there was a fire and we were representing the utility company. And there was a question as to whether the utility company had caused the fire through some surging on the lines. And it was 3 Black-owned businesses, all generational, no generational wealth, just these businesses. The businesses made up the entirety of the assets of each of these 3 Black families. Mm-hmm. And my job, the same guy that was like gutting houses in traditionally Black neighborhoods in New Orleans for free to help, was actively trying to make sure that they could never obtain compensation for losing everything they'd worked for their whole life.
Wow.
And, to one of those families' credit, the wife told me exactly what she thought of me in person in a deposition. And she, to this day, I thank her for it. Right. But so I'm sitting up at night, like, replaying that in my head, like, man, I'm a terrible person. Like, I really am a bad person now. And that's not what I intended. And that was it, man. Notice put in the next day.
Wow. Just like that. Wow.
I figured I'd rather jump without a parachute and risk killing myself than stay in a plane full of people I don't want to be with.
There you go, John. John jumped out of a plane with a parachute. You said without him.
Yeah. I beat him. There you go. But yeah, that was the moment. And but if you don't watch yourself, things don't go as well as you intend them, and you can become someone you don't want to become. So I left and I'm like, I'm going to be a good person. Right. So I'm focusing on helping these policyholders, but then I'm getting caught up in the business again. We're creating this big firm. Now we're doing all sorts of things I don't care about doing. There's like a divorce department. There's a succession, like probate department. We're doing this, we're doing that. We're taking defense work. Suddenly, lawyers in our office are representing people that don't align with my moral values. Mm-hmm. And so again, like, I look up, and this is right during COVID, and I'm like, I hate this place that I own. Like, I am miserable because I don't like what we do, so I turned it all in, walked away. I knew my partners would stiff me, but I walked away. And that's what caused me to start this firm. So now we only represent people I want to represent. We only help policyholders because that's all I want to do. And we don't play with any of that other stuff. And I'm going to keep it that way as long as I'm alive.
Wow. Ricky and I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and it was a 3-hour conversation, almost went to 4. Mm-hmm. And, one thing I brought up was a lot of people choose money over power. Meaning, and not power in a bad way, power of controlling your environment, meaning just like what you're saying. When you found out that there was a money that was more on the thing and you're like, I'm losing my power, you chose, let me pick my power over the money. And I'm telling people that usually when you pick the power, I'm not going to tell you that every case is going to work out, but usually when you pick that power over the money, it brings back the money because you're actually doing what you love. And it'll help you. You'll be more earnest and more attentive and do a lot of things the exact way that you need to do it to inherently gain that money. So kudos for that. When you started a business and you had to leave, this is what I want to know a lot. Talk to every entrepreneur that's out there that's doing something or in a business and they don't understand about a pivot. How did you feel knowing that you're at the pinnacle? You left a law firm because some lady in a deposition pointed the finger, said you're the worst thing since scum, right? And I'm sure she used all the choice words. You leave a law firm that is one of the best, all the things that people would search for, the lawyer. Create your own. Your own is going. And now you're saying you guys are a strong law firm and you're going to leave it to start your own again. How how did that feel for you as a businessman? And how do you tackle that next project to grow another business again?
Yeah, so terrifying, right? And, you use the word pivot. Like, anyone that is listening to the podcast, I would always recommend pivoting first before burning it down and starting over, right? A pivot's not always possible. It's not always possible. So you have to seriously evaluate it. But, businesses pivot all the time and they change within it. And you need to decide, is this good or bad? Obviously, my first firm that I created, the only reason we got as big as we did is because we kept pivoting, right? And it's also the reason I became unhappy. So I wasn't careful and I wasn't monitoring the way we pivot. And, I did. And I'm not saying you should never do this, but I took on partners, which made it impossible for me to pivot back to where I wanted to pivot with the firm because I needed my partners to buy in. So through a series of pivots that all were really good for money and all good financially, I created a situation where I had to just walk away and start over. But pivoting is definitely better if you can swing it. But no, you look, it doesn't matter whether you've done this for a year, 10 years, 100 years, right? It's always scary to start over. So many things can go wrong. But at the end of the day, I think if you don't have the faith in yourself, then you've got a bad boss. You have to put the faith in yourself.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I'm loving it. Now you start at 7. Now you're hundreds different states. How do you manage that? Because some people can't even manage their household. They're talking about you're having a daggone company and you're in multiple states. As a owner, how do you monitor and make sure people are actually bringing out the climate? Well,
the culture.
I'm trying to kind of give it the answer, but how do you monitor and say to the people, hey, this is my mission and this is what I ultimately want. And now you could be here in Louisiana, but somebody else in one of the other states you're in is doing something that's not aligned with your values.
Yeah. So the 3 C's, except one's actually a K. It's core values, culture, and KPIs. That's the K, right? So for us, first we get everyone locked down on what our core values are. Why are we a company? Why do we exist? What's important to us? Make money cannot be the answer. Even if that's why you did it, that cannot be why your business exists, right? Look, I'm all about like everyone making their money and eating. Like that's cool. It is not a shame to say I started this company because I needed to make some money, but your company does not exist because your company does not continue to exist because you want to make money. So what is it that your company does? What is the purpose of your company? If your company could be a person and you asked him, why do you exist? He would say, I would say, I exist to rebuild communities that have been affected by natural disasters and make sure families can rebuild together without being taken advantage of. That's what my company would say if you could ask it. So you got to figure that out. Core value is so important. Why? Because if you're going to grow your company, you're going to need people. And if people do not have something to buy into, then they show up, they collect a paycheck and they leave, right? That's it. And then culture becomes equally as important because now you got the core values, but how is it? Not just what kind of workplace is it? How are your people? How do they behave? How do they act? Do they feel supported? Do they feel like they can go to people for help? That's crucial. Are they positive? Are they negative? Like I was reading a quote earlier today that said, every team has a general feeling. And if it's a feeling of positivity, you've won half the battle. If it's a feeling of negativity, you lost before you took the field. Right. Wow. And so are you developing that kind of culture, which, by the way, is exhausting? It's time consuming. It's sometimes expensive because you have to make sure all their physiological needs are met, too. But once you get that culture and that core value, in my mind, the secret sauce to growing that business owners ignore is having key performance indicators, meaning pick a position, a case manager at my office. I know how many files a case manager in my office must touch every day in order to be productive. I know how many demand letters a lawyer in my office must get out the door. I know how many depositions it takes to resolve a case. I know that if we're going to try a case, here's how many hours we need to put into it. So figuring those things out, which look, it's trial and error. You're going to mess up. You start to require your people to do those things. And I'm not talking in the way that you see like companies get smeared, right? I always laugh, right? Everyone loves to pick on Amazon, right? Yeah. Amazon's like making their drivers make 15 deliveries an hour. I'm like, well, that's just a key performance indicator, right? Is it fair? I don't know. But that's all they're doing. So find key performance indicators that accomplish your goal, but also keep your culture positive. Like when these companies get in trouble for these rules, it's because they let their culture suffer because of their KPIs. Find a way to get all three in sync. And then I think you can grow unlimited as long as you, again, don't watch the money. You watch the money for the business to make sure the business is going to survive. If you're counting those dollars that are coming in, buying houses, buying cars, buying planes, I put all that money back in. I want this business to grow, right? I've got a friend who runs a very similar business to me, except we pay him money because he goes and does inspections for us, right? He'll get a big check and then I'll see he bought a house. He'll get a big check and then I'll see he's on vacation. He'll get a big check and then I'll see he bought a plane. And then sometimes he'll be on a vacation emailing me asking if I can go ahead and pay some invoices early. He's not going to be around. 5 years, he'll be gone. Yeah. He's a one-hit wonder. He is not growing his business. He's growing his bank account. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you're never going to be successful as a business.
Man, Galen, we went through a very rapidly your journey from beginning till this date, and it just strikes me how a person that was just singing opera very well, got a scholarship for school and helped pay for schooling and all that kind of stuff, transitioned to a space that's rigorous, like crazy rigorous, and being successful there and learning at one of the top law firms. But then, we're kind of brushing over it a little bit because you said, oh, you started one company, it went well, but it just wasn't in the right direction. Stop that, pivoted, start another company, and is successful. You're building a business. Like, dude, that's another whole skill set that you have to learn in terms of entrepreneurship and starting a business and being a leader at a business. So I'm going to assume that you took the same approach that you took to law school when it was time for you now to start your business, right? But I don't want to assume, since it is a show and people are listening, man, to the journey, like, what does he do? What did he do? Can you just break down, like, what were some of the things that you were conditioning yourself with, reading, surrounding yourself with? Who were those people that you said before, you surround yourself with better people, right? To push you, like John, where were your Johns and all those different things? Like, talk to us about what it took for you as a person, one, to develop the ideologies that you have now into running your successful business, even though you did talk about the failures and those things, but more so the tangible things on how did you start this business, like in this practice?
Yeah. So I think I attribute our success to a few things, and I think they're all important. So I read a lot. You have to read. I know it's tiring when you're busy. Last thing you want to do is sit down, read a lot. If it's out there, if it's semi-motivational and informative, read it. Worst case scenario, you're going to decide it's not for you, right? But I'll knock a couple of books out a week if I can, right? And
law school training.
Yeah, it got me ready for sure. Like, I got a whole stack right above me of books that I'm working on right now, like The Changing World Order right now, right? Miracle Morning, right? I find things to work into my routine if I can, make me more productive.
Morning. I like that book.
Miracle Morning's great. Hal Elrod, he's got a compelling story. And, he basically has like a 20 to 30 minute routine every morning, changed his life, changed his outlook, made him more productive. Maybe it wouldn't work for someone, but it worked for me. And so I do a lot of those things. That's trial and error. The other thing I do is I'm not afraid to watch my competitors as long as I don't imitate. You can replicate successful things, but don't imitate people, right? So I don't care what business you're in, even if you're sitting there right now and you've got the best idea in the world for the best hamburger restaurant, okay, and you're listening to this and you've got the best idea in the world, I want you to succeed. And I want you to have the best hamburger restaurant in the world. But there's a lot of other hamburger restaurants out there, and some of them are doing some things right. Maybe they're not doing everything right. Otherwise, your idea wouldn't potentially have legs. But other places are doing something right. So what are your competitors doing right? Figure out what they're doing right and what works. And then the final thing, which is exactly what I did in law school, is surround yourself by better people. So these days, you can get coaches, you can get mastermind groups, you can subscribe to all sorts of business coaching. Like, you have to do that stuff. And look, people are jaded, right? Mm-hmm. People are like, well, this guy that's coaching, like, he ain't all that. So maybe he can't coach me. Well, he's seen a lot of things. So try it. If it doesn't work for you, find another coach.
Try someone else. Yeah.
And then another one, right? It's not about whether he's run a successful business. It's about whether he can identify something, or she can, that you're doing wrong. I have a business coach to this day. It doesn't matter how big we get, that I work with every month. I talk to her because she sees things I don't see. It also, by the way, what does that do as a business owner? Gives you someone to go to with problems that doesn't work for you, which is huge. And then, look, I'm part of these mastermind groups. I think that's what the current in term is, but they've existed forever. It's just a group of business owners that get together, And man, are they smarter than me? Man, do they make more money than me? Man, are they more successful than me? When I ran my last firm, and, I think we were doing revenue at our height of like 2 or 3 million a year. I joined a coaching group that the minimum to get in was 3 million a year. Like, I might even fudge my numbers a couple of bucks to get in. Right. Like, and I got in there, and like the average annual revenue was like 50 mil. Right. And I was like, okay, I'm learning from these people. Like, so I made friends, couldn't do much for them. Right. But I did whatever I could for them. I watched what they did. I listened to what they thought. I was silent in those meetings, right? Because I was a sponge. I just wanted to learn. And I fully credit that back when 3 mil was like a crazy annual revenue, like that wouldn't keep the lights on right now.
Yeah.
So we got to do almost 100 times that a year, So, and you don't get there. You don't get there by guessing, and you don't get there by thinking you're better than anyone else. I'm always the worst. I walk into a room and I think, man, I'm dumber than everyone else here. So what can I learn from these people today?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
John,
man, Galen.
Man, I'm telling you, I just love it because, Ricky and I, that's something that because we started our Success Journey Show, the podcast, and it had spidered off to other business ventures. And I think sometimes the hardest thing to do is find a mentor, because some people just don't bring you in. They want to, their industry, they just want to keep it closed to. And then the biggest thing in business is that scaling. And it's very difficult to find someone to say, hey, how can I scale the business? Because a lot of times, some people, like I have your personality. I don't want to be the only person in the smartest person in the room. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. But scaling the business, how did you tackle that one? Because you start at 7. The scaling of the business, I think, is so hard. Well, unless you have a good business plan and demand is just there. But how do you create that demand and then scale the business?
Yeah, scaling's hard, right? And there's no one size fits all answer. And some of it is guesswork. It kind of feels like the old Western movies where they're frantically throwing coal on the train, to keep it running, right? And you're worried it's going to like fly off the tracks. There is a feeling like that when you grow that fast. I don't wish it on anyone. I gained like 56 pounds just while we were growing, right? Because I was just all in, right? I was all in on that and
that's all you'll focus on. Yeah. Hey, my order. That's it. I'm working at the desk today. Yeah.
Yeah. It's scary when you call them up and they're like the usual. You're like,
hey, Galen.
Yeah.
It's like cheers when you walk in.
Yeah, it's scary. But no, seriously, like So going back to like the culture, the core values and the KPIs, that's important. And then the missing piece there on scaling is hiring and putting in leadership structure. You can't do it all yourself. You have to acknowledge you can't do it all yourself. So you hire people, which is what I meant when I was kind of alluding earlier, don't watch the bank account. Like, make sure the company has money, but your money doesn't matter. If you want to scale, you need to be ready to not make money, even when the business is making tons of money, because you need to invest in having the right leadership, right? We have a COO. Is that a huge expense? Yes, because she's qualified and she knows what she's doing. Has that also kept me sane because someone else is handling a ton of the lifting that I used to do? Yes. So every time I find myself doing things I shouldn't be doing, I check the budget to see if we can hire someone to do those things. And then when those senior leaders find themselves doing things they shouldn't be doing,
check the budget.
They check the budget to see if they can hire people, right? So like, that's really fundamentally how you scale, right? You cannot do it all. If you wake up in the morning and let's say there's like 5 basic functions, like at our firm, we have bookkeeping, we have marketing, we have HR, we actually have to provide legal services to people, right? Yep. Like those are just some basic things. I cannot manage my day where I'm handling all the bookkeeping, handling all the HR, handling all the marketing, and providing the legal services. Honestly, I can't do any of that anymore. That's not feasible. I have, because growth is the final thing. You have to focus on growth.
Yeah.
So I can go try a case now because I have the right leadership structure in place that I can say, don't bother me for 2 weeks. I'm going to go try this case. I can go handle a deposition now because I've got that time. But a year ago, defense lawyers didn't even realize that they had us over a barrel because I couldn't go try a case. I didn't have the time. You know, I didn't know why they settled with us. They I guess couldn't figure out or didn't know how busy we were. Right. But, you know, now we've got these teams and we've got enough people in place. And that's the trick to scaling is every time you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, put someone in place. And then the final part of that, which is kind of implied, is, man, you got to hire the right people. And that is not like, hey, I know someone or you know someone or this is the first person that applied. The time, effort, and even money that goes into hiring someone is the single most important function you have. And man, people fight with me about this all the time. Well, I'm a small business and I'm about to hire my first employee. So I can't put all that time and investment into it. I was like, man, you're wrong. Most important employee you're ever going to hire is your first employee. They're going to set your culture. They're going to set everything, right? Like you got to get a cleaner, you got to get an A player. And how do you do that? You got to test them. You got to personality test them. You got to interview them. You got to make sure they're right. I don't care what their resume says.
Yeah.
I don't even look at these resumes anymore. Like, well, I don't do the hiring anymore, but if I'm like, get me an attorney, I guarantee you the only thing their resume is checked for is to make sure they're a lawyer.
Yeah.
we don't care after that. After that, it's all about what skill set do they have and what kind of person are they?
Personality.
And we make them jump through hoops. You do not just get a job here. You cannot just get a job here. Like you guys are awesome. I still wouldn't hire you right now, right? You would have so many steps to go through. You wouldn't want a job here because you got your own thing, but you would have so many steps to go through. There's no way you and I have a conversation today and you start here tomorrow. That's impossible.
Yeah. Man, I applaud you, man. I really do. I really feel that sense of one, just connecting to your story in the sense of not necessarily knowing what your journey was going to look like, but taking advantage of the opportunities when they presented themselves to you, from recognizing, hey, I've been gifted with a voice. Though I'm not super passionate about it, I see where this opportunity can lead me to my next opportunity in life. And then as you're going down and serving and helping people in Katrina, you see, oh, wow, how can I set up and do something that do more? And, you know, just the building blocks of everything to where you get to this point. And nowhere did you show that it was easy, right? And every aspect of it, there was a struggle point. But once you, what I love is that you identified to the core who you were, and who you were didn't have anything to do with your skill sets. It was just your determination, right? And that determination just allowed you to explore and experience things that even business owners of today are still struggling to do, right? And those that had their minds that this is what they want to do for ages, for years, right? So I really, really appreciate and I really respect your journey and what you've gone through. One question that we ask all of our guests, or at least we try to ask them in our show, is, and I really want to hear your perspective on this, is if you had 60 seconds given to you and you can go back to that Galen back right when you're ready to either graduate from college or high school, going into college, and you can just pull them to the side, knowing what you know now in life, what would you share with them?
I'm not even like that or anything. Like, I'm not a teetotaler. I'm not anything like that. So this sounds so cheesy, but I would pull my college self aside because I used to love to party. And I'd say, just don't even worry about it. It's not worth it. Like, it's not going to make you a good business person. It's not going to make you a good singer. It's not going to make you a good anything. It's not even going to be that fun. The scariest moments of your life are going to be waking up wondering if you did something stupid or really stupid. Like, I'll have a drink, I'll go out, whatever. But I would have pulled myself aside and said, every night you go out partying, you're just wasting time. Like, make meaningful connections, hang out, and make sure you can always remember and you're aware of what you are and who you're doing and what you're doing.
Oh man, I love it. Love it.
This whole time one thing I've been thinking about too is I'm trying to figure out if you were a baritone or a tenor.
Tenor for sure. Tenor.
I hear the tenor.
I picked tenor, but I was like, sometimes I hear a baritone, I was like, he might be a baritone that can slip into tenor. So I was listening for that. We didn't even touch on Rick. We didn't even touch on, and we're wrapping it up now because you probably need some sleep to run your. But we didn't even touch on the fact that what you said in the beginning, your environment you came from, where your mother was an immigrant, came here, third language was English. You're no high school graduates, and look at you right now, right? So a lot of people, yes, your environment does play an effect on you, but I want to tell you that your environment and the situation that you are in doesn't determine what you can become. And Galen is 100% testament to that, and Ricky and I are 100% testament to that. So if you're listening to this and you're at you're still in the situation where, you don't have no money, you're looking just to go to college, whatever the situation is, or you're just opening a business and nobody in your family ever had one. You don't have to worry about what was written on the slate before. Yes, it's pages in your book, but you have new pages to write. So go ahead and just take care of that.
Galen, why don't you share with our travelers around the world where they can connect with you, your company, if they even need services, or hopefully they can get to your services easier than they can get hired.
Yeah, they can definitely get our services easier than they can get hired. So yeah, if you ever have any issues, you can always reach out to us. We have a website like everyone else, insuranceclaimhq.com. That's one claim headquarters, insuranceclaimhq.com. Also, we're on all of the different social media channels, always under Insurance Claim HQ. We have a phone number on that website. We'll answer it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But look, if you're listening to this and you just want to connect, I think one of the things Ricky hit on, Marlon hit on, and I hit on, is you got to surround yourself by people. So, I'm not one of those that'll listen to this and then ignore you, I might make you jump through some hoops, right? Like, I had someone sit down and say, I want you to work with me. I want you to mentor me. And he was working at a job. And I said, I'll tell you what, quit your job, start your business, and then give me a shout. That was like 8 years ago. I hadn't heard from him since. But look, the reason you're listening to this podcast is because you care about your future. So if you need to talk, you need some encouragement, hit me up.
Definitely. We might even take you up on that. Rick and I, we probably need to jump some hoops and lose some of the weight we gained over COVID. So,
Love it. Well, travelers, we come to the end of another show. We want to thank you for tuning in with us. We're here because of you. And we will be here again next week at the same time, at the same place. Check us out at thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Everyone have a good one and see you later. Peace.
One love.
You've been listening to The Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.